Now, the comedian Alan Carr has unveiled a memorial to a 19th century Northumberland pit disaster. A number of his relatives died in the Burradon colliery tragedy in 1860. Our industry correspondent Ian Reeve reports.
Both my great-great-granddads were found cradling each other. They'd suffocated to death in the first explosion.
Not the biggest gig that Alan Carr's ever done, but probably the most meaningful. The comedian was here to unveil a memorial to those killed in the 1860 Burradon pit disaster. 11 of the 76 were his relatives.
There needs to be something here to remember, because you go up to where the explosion was, you wouldn't even know anything had happened. And people need to remember it was big news in 1860. I mean, it made the front page of the Times, which I was surprised at. And also I feel like it's given something back.
The disaster was doubly tragic. The pit owners had been stalling on a compensation scheme for miners hurt or killed in the colliery.
The coal owners didn't back it, and once the disaster had happened, the mine workers and their families were once again relying on charity to support them when they were trying to fight for compensation, which didn't happen.
And although 150 years ago, the Burradon pit tragedy still resonates with the comedian down through time.
Samuel Carr don't want to be too gruesome, but he couldn't be identified for a fortnight because they didn't know. And he was only a 15-year-old boy, and all his job was to let air vents into the coal mine. And I mean, that affects you even if it was, 200 years ago or just yesterday. So that still stays with me. That's, my great-granddad having those facial injuries, and just really sad.
Ian Reeve, BBC Look North, Burradon in Northumberland.